On February 3rd, 1985, Pam gave birth to a little baby girl. It was a difficult delivery, difficult pregnancy, prematurely, and we named her Kara Elise. In April of 1985, Kara got sick with a respiratory issue, and we went to her pediatrician, and the pediatrician suggested that we take her to the hospital. While we were there, she was diagnosed with cystic fibrosis, which is a hereditary disorder that causes real thick mucus and lung infections and difficulty with breathing, and it's chronic. And so that diagnosis was a pretty big setback. We started doing a lot of research about that particular disease, and we knew that we were in for a long, difficult journey. After some breathing treatments and antibiotics, we were able to take Kara home. And after we were home, we got an appointment with a renowned pediatric specialist here in Amarillo. So he saw her, he tested her for cystic fibrosis, and that test came back negative. So, but he wasn't able to come up with any other specific diagnosis. Early June 1985, we made a difficult decision and elected to have a feeding tube surgically placed so that she could hopefully get better nutrition. She continued to decline. And on June 25th, 1985, after a very brave battle, she went to be in the arms of Jesus. It was early in the morning. They unhooked all the stuff. We were able to hold her for as long as we wanted, and then we packed up our stuff and headed out to the car. I can remember when we headed out to the car that it was sprinkling. And I just remember in that moment thinking that maybe those were tears from heaven, just kind of crying with us as we went home empty-handed from the hospital. Since we never ever got a clear diagnosis of what was going on with Kara, it was recommended that we have an autopsy performed. When the results came in, we met with that pediatric specialist, and he informed us that Kara had a disorder called severe combined immune deficiency syndrome. It's a very rare hereditary disorder. Both parents must be carriers. Basically, the child is born with no immune system of their own. And we began to explore every single possibility of having a child other than having one ourselves. Because the doctor had told us any future pregnancy carried the chance that this could happen again. And we certainly did not ever want to have to go through that experience again.
I desperately wanted to be a mom. So we continued praying and independently of each other, and it was like I thought Mark was going to think I was crazy, because I felt like God was telling me that he was going to give us a healthy baby of our own, and we just needed to trust him, that he was bigger than medicine. He was bigger than anything that the doctors could tell us, and we just needed to have faith in him. And I thought, I cannot tell Mark this. He will think I've lost it. He's going to think I'm crazy. We didn't realize that God had us on the same path. He was taking Mark down the exact same. There are quiet times, and through different means, he was speaking to Mark the same thing. Trust me, I'm bigger than medicine. I want to give you a child of your own. And one evening, Mark asked me if I'd come into the living room. He wanted to talk to me about something, and I did, and he started sharing with me, and he was nervous. He started sharing with me the things that he felt like God was telling him about wanting to give us a healthy child of our own. From man's point of view, it was absolutely nuts for us to even consider it. But once we knew that that was the direction God was sending us, we were 100% convinced that that's what he was telling us to do.
On December 26th, 1986, Jordan Jacob was born. And shortly thereafter, we had him tested. Back in that time, you couldn't test like you can now in the womb. So he was tested and perfectly healthy. And we just were so grateful to God for this wonderful blessing. A couple of years later, we thought about another baby. So in March 1989, Catrice Nicole was born. Again, we had her tested, and she was perfectly healthy. So we had a little boy and a little girl, and life was good, and we were on our way of parenting multiple healthy children. A few years later, not quite as planned as the first two, we got pregnant again. So January 2nd, 1994, Alyssa Brianne was born, and she's healthy as well. You know, had Kara been a healthy baby, we don't know how many more children we would have had. It's hard to say. But now, you know, it's impossible to think about our life and our family without these three, and now without their spouses, and now without three grandsons, and a granddaughter on the way. So what a blessing. We have been blessed beyond our imagination. We still have questions for God. It still hurts. We still have a hole when we think about Kara. But wow, what a blessed life and what a blessed family.